It's a felony for aliens to even possess a firearm. A law enforcement officer who is actively breaking the law, said DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin in a statement to CNN on Thursday. In September, ICE agents arrested the superintendent of Iowa's largest school district, accusing him of being in the country illegally since the early 2000s.
CrossroadsIRL.com.
Officer in Chicago-Suburb and accuses him of being in the U.S. illegally. A lot of people are really shocked by this story, but what I find really funny about it is that we've known there are illegal immigrant police officers for some.
All right, hold on. Please subscribe, like, and share if you're watching. Take the poll. I'm going to look at the poll and then we'll talk about the results of the poll afterwards. And consider supporting the channel. There's a story that I want us to cover. We're going to be reacting to a video. We're going to look at a leftist who randomly attacked an elderly conservative voter in the park. We're going to talk about that, and I need to know what your thoughts are about it, because I had some thoughts when I saw that story.
This is just starting to shock people, so it is the lead. Check this out. ICE agents arrested a police officer Thursday morning in the Chicago suburb of Hanover Park. I once lived there briefly, accusing him of being an unlawful immigrant. I like to say unlawful, from Montenegro. The DHS officer, DHS...
Unlawful also means illegal, okay? They just don't want to use that word illegal.
Says
from Montenegro.
Radul Bojovic, is that how you say that? Bojovic? Yep. Overstayed tourist visa that expired in 2015. According to the department, Bojovic was encountered during a targeted enforcement action in ICE's immigration-focused operation in Illinois. The Hanover Park Police Department shared a Facebook post in August announcing Bojovic's recent graduation from the Suburban Law Enforcement Academy, adding they had started an intensive 15 weeks of field training and evaluation as he continues preparing to serve the Hanover Park community. CNN reached out to the Hanover Park Police for comment and has attempted to contact Bojovic. Is it Bojovic? I don't know how you pronounce it. Bojovic. He violated our nation's laws and was living illegally in the U.S. for 10 years. What kind of police department gives criminal illegal aliens badges and guns? It's a felony for aliens to even possess a firearm. A law enforcement officer who is actively breaking the law, said DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin in a statement to CNN on Thursday. In September, ICE agents arrested the superintendent of Iowa's largest school district, accusing him of being in the country illegally since the early 2000s. And by the way, leftists...
Right? It's a big deal.
That proves it.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me it's not motivated by racism?
No, that's proof that it is racism. They're only doing it because he's white. Yeah, because
the fact that he was able to become a cop proves racism exists.
Exactly.
All the Latinos they're all.
Well. The other black guy who became a school superintendent was black, so it's not racism. I mean, these talking points are so tired for me. They're tired arguments. But you know what? There are people out there who believe these arguments and will put their lives on the line because of these arguments. I guarantee you that there are people out in New York, Chicago, in California who heard Don Lemon scream, "Go get guns," and you know what? They forgot their gun control argument and they're all running to the gun store right now, buying guns. I thought they were for no guns. They label people who own guns as conservatives. Now they're going to buy guns, and the excuse is to resist the tyrant, and that's the argument. So there's no moral or intellectual consistency there.
Spanish descent, so they're white too, so that's why it's all racism.
That's a very good point.
This is I don't think people understand the extent to which the Democrats over the past 10 or so years, longer, 20, have been literally shredding this country up. We sat here for the most part, American citizens, assuming that our leaders were being good stewards of our American tradition and this country. They were actually opening the door for non-citizens to vote, to be law enforcement officers, to work in our public institutions. They were attempting to dismantle this country. And wait, there's more. Take a look at this from the LA Times. This is from earlier in the year. LAPD has immigrant officers protected by DACA. In other words, they have illegal immigrant police officers that have deferred status. That is the current status. Could Trump try to deport them?
So this is not happening. This is not just happening in Chicago. It's also happening in Los Angeles. Which other states or cities is this happening? And I'm also looking at Republican-led states and cities. I think there has to be an audit nationwide audits to figure out what's going on. And of course, there will be the usual pushback from the Democrats that this is overreach. The DOJ recently asked all the states of the Federation to send in their voter registries or their voter logs. And do you know what? The blue cities and blue states are resisting. What are they trying to hide? This is the DOJ, for crying out loud. They said, let's see your voter rolls. And they are saying, no, we're going to hold out as much as possible. And you know what? Every step of the way, they're going to say this is unconstitutional and it is overreach. There are voter logs that are packed to the gills with illegal immigrants on the roll. We played the video yesterday, and that was the video that you responded to, Canary King, where you commented, this is a bit amusing though, 2 foreigners commenting about immigration. Make it 3. I'm also commenting about immigration. Okay. Why is it that people who aren't originally from America are the ones who can freely say these things? Because if it was a Caucasian American saying it, they'll say that he's racist. If it's an African American saying it, they say that you're a sellout. If you're an immigrant saying it, they tell you to go back to your country. I do have people in the comments telling me that I should focus on Africa, that what's going on in the States is none of my business. So this argument is not old. It's not old. They don't want anyone talking about it. So it takes a billionaire immigrant to say what has to be said. And of course, they wanted to burn down all his car showrooms and prevent people from doing business with him. It's hilarious, at the same time infuriating to watch this dynamic. The insanity of it all is that mainstream media is running cover for all of this.
Yes. He could rescind DACA, and he should. And it is insane that we've come to this point. And I know there's going to be a lot of people, Rogan was saying recently, like, these guys have been here for 20 years, have a heart, they should stay. This is the same argument they made in the 80s and the 90s. And every single time they promise they will not do it again. They'll say, okay, let's grant amnesty to these people who've been here for like 20 years, but we just won't do it again. And then they do. So it is not callous to say, guys, 3 strikes and you're out.
Look, everyone that's illegal has to go. That's all there is to it.
Don't they do background checks? Shouldn't this have flagged somewhere? I know that when I was on federal probation, I couldn't get a job at Walmart and McDonald's. So one of the requirements was you had to be gainfully employed or go to college. So I couldn't get a job at Walmart or McDonald's because I had a felony theft that I was charged with. They said I was.
And this is for an American citizen. If these laws are upheld for American citizens who have a criminal record, why is it such a huge problem for it to be enforced against people who crossed into the country illegally? These are valid questions. I'm going to go to the chat. Now, if you're watching, please comment. I need you guys to talk. I don't want to just be the only one talking about this stuff, okay? My opinions might be great, but when we mix up and have these opinions and conversations, I mean, it's great when we all talk together. So everything that we see happening with American citizens, where if an American citizen is driving drunk with a child in the backseat and they get arrested, they are separated from their kids because that's the procedure. If you have an illegal immigrant being arrested and prepped for deportation, and it happens to be that their children are separated from them, it's the same thing. They committed a crime. The children are simply collateral damage in the entire process. Do you say that when someone is caught drunk driving, that you give them a pass simply because there's a child in the car? You don't do that for American citizens. Why would you want to do that for immigrants who broke the law by crossing illegally, therefore making them illegal immigrants?
A loss prevention issue.
So I assume that if they did do, or my assumption, right? This isn't like I know anything, but I assume that they were going by the standards set by the Obama administration, which was DACA recipients can stay and they get to be treated as if they're they're legally here. So if that is the case, and again, this is just an assumption, if that's the case, it does make sense. They would be like, well, it's fine. He's a deferred action. So because he's deferred action, we're going to go ahead and allow him to get a job.
Well, I know in Iowa they used a third party to do the background check on the superintendent. So they washed their hands of it, said this isn't our fault. We used a party. They must have missed it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what
Plausible deniability,
but like
as usual.
now, new sheriff's in town. Gotta go. I don't care.
But,
All of them.
But have you guys considered that no human being is illegal?
I rejected it out of hand because gotta go back. Everybody that's here illegally has to go. Goodbye.
I was told that trespassing is bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't you? Someone said that.
A while ago.
Who said such a thing? That's not correct. You're allowed to go wherever you want, whenever you want, and stay there forever.
Exactly.
Oh,
Okay. Borders are an imaginary line.
I think
That's what I
someone
was
owes me an
told. Is that
apology.
borders are an imaginary line. What can I do about it?
I think when people start to realize how many people have been granted authority, I mean, Democrats in San Francisco, I think, or I'm sorry, it might have been Sacramento, but California and New York were trying to pass city resolutions that illegal immigrants would be able to vote. The argument was, if you live here, you can vote. Now, of course, the Democrats are going to argue, no, this wasn't about illegal immigrants, but that's the game they play because to a Democrat, no one's illegal.
Yep.
So literally, by virtue of being here, you're our neighbor. Now, what
A
happens?
friend we haven't made yet. That's what I always say.
Newcomers.
I say they're just friends we haven't made yet.
What happens when Democrats bring in 20 million people and then Trump tries to enforce against these people who are here? They will scream "Ayuda me" in the streets, and other illegal immigrants will attack the police to protect them. Because if you own a house and 3 guys break in and you, the homeowner, say, "Get out of my house," do you think these men are going to say, "Sure," or do you think they're
Just a bit of commentary here. 20 million. Let's just divide it by 2. Okay, so 10 million immigrants, undocumented, crossed into your country. Most of them from these other countries have a higher birth rate than the average American family. Within 15 years, that 10 million will become essentially 40 to 50 million people. Originally undocumented. Now you have 50 million people living in your country, undocumented, whose allegiance to your country is not solid. They came in illegally. They were validated by the Democrat Party. They don't owe the country anything. They just came because they wanted a better life. They don't love the United States of America. They came because of the utility of the United States of America. If there was a war, I would say this, if there was a war, there's no reason for them to fight for the United States. They might even turn against the United States and aid your enemies. That's the way the world works, guys. So simply letting people in because you want to look nice is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It is stupid. Europe is paying the price for it now. If you haven't been watching the feed from Europe, please do. Europe doesn't look like Europe anymore. It looks like Somalia. It looks like Somalia or one of the Arab countries. They've been overrun because they were trying to virtue signal. I don't want to dive into some of these angles because it's too painful to talk about. And it's painful for me, and I'm not from Europe. I'm not from the States. I'm watching, I'm from the outside looking in. It is painful because it is essentially destroying the very template that the third world needs in order to evolve to become a better place. The third world needs Europe and North America to stay as Europe and North America. The third world doesn't need them to become the third world. When you have someone who's drowning, one of the lessons that you're taught, and I'm not a trained lifeguard, but one of the lessons you're taught is when you're saving someone from drowning, you need to come at them from behind. Because if you come at them from the front, because they are struggling, they will grab onto you, and while they're trying to come up for air, they might drown you in the process. And you have to take very drastic measures in order to ensure that you can save that person without putting your life at risk. Second picture that comes to mind, in an aircraft, when they're telling you about this, the measures to take when the plane is in crisis, and they say put the oxygen. If you're on the flight with a child, they tell you put the oxygen mask on yourself first, then on the child. Why is that? Because you need to be okay first before you can save anyone. You can't try to save a drowning group of people from the third world while in the process you get drowned. And that's what Europe has done to itself right now. However Europe is going to solve that problem, I do not know. But it is going to be painful to solve. It's going to be painful. Okay. All right. Now, I think we've gathered enough from this story. We're going to go to on a lighter note, but we're going to look at that story that I teased. Now, I'm going to go into the chat. Okay. It's hard to take those two guys seriously. Speaking of Elon and the guy who was doing the presentation yesterday, Elon was illegal. So how do we take him seriously? How was Elon illegal? Please explain. How is he illegal? I need to understand how he was illegal. The other guy didn't explain his credentials. Illegal immigration is a problem. Third world was created by colonialism. I disagree. So, oh yes, on planes too. Yeah, I didn't read that, but I caught that vibe. Okay, so let's talk about colonialism before we go to the third video. America was a colony of Britain. Yes, Elon overstayed his visa, but did Elon work on regularizing his status in the United States? Yes. There are a lot of these people who have lived in the United States for 20 years. One, they don't even speak the language. They don't speak English. They can't speak English, and they've been in the United States for 20 years. There are stories like that. I don't know if that has been confirmed, but I've heard that there are stories like that. All right. Elon overstayed his visa, but he regularized his status legally. He is currently not illegal. 2, I was listening to someone online last week or the week before, and he had a housekeeper who was illegal. And when Trump was elected the first time, she panicked, and he asked her, why are you so panicked? And she said, I'm illegal and I've been here for 15 years. And he said, okay, it's an easy fix. And he and his family helped her to go through the process until she was cleared and became a citizen. Simply panicking and saying Trump is evil now that he's in office, everyone who's been here for 20 years is going to, be kicked out. If there are Americans out there who feel like there are immigrants who've been here for a long time and they need to have their status regularized, then they should go out there and help people get their status in order. Joe Rogan was saying that we should have a heart. I think he should go out there and sponsor 10 immigrants who have been in the country for 20 years. He should sponsor them and say, okay, I'm going to pay for lawyers. I'm going to pay for the process. That's what he should do, not go on his show and say we should have a heart. All right. That's the way to do it, not to virtue signal and try to say, well, let's throw the laws out simply because I feel bad. No, if there's anyone you know, or if there are people you know, or if there are organizations who help illegal immigrants to gain status, you support them, you fund them and say, okay, how many illegal immigrants can I sponsor? And then you go out there and you sponsor them. That's how to do it. Okay, so disregarding federal law is not the way to do it. Did Elon come in through a port of entry? I'm seeing Canary King. Canary King is trying to get me riled up and trying to poke the bear. I'm not going to take the bait. Elon came in through a port of entry. Excuse me. He overstayed his visa, but he worked out his papers. He regularized his papers. Okay? That's how it's done. There are provisions where if you overstay your visa, there are things that you can do to regularize your paper. And he made it, he did what he had to do. It's just hard to take Elon seriously. He comes across as a hypocrite. Trump is working hard to deal with immigration. I feel he's a better spokesman for the issue. Yeah, but Trump has been trying, but the mainstream media is not letting up on the TDS. Elon is simply doing what Elon does. So I don't know. I can't speak for either of them.
Subscribe.
Thanks for watching, liking, and sharing this video. Please subscribe, leave a super thank, and join my membership to keep me doing this. A huge thank you to my supporters listed on the screen. Thank you for your donations and membership.
Thanks for watching.